Hello YouTube, newsletter and survival group subscribers. This is Terrell from Terrell03.com. Today is June the 15th, 2017, and this is the Black Star Regular Report connected to volume 24 of Terrell's 2017 newsletter. Seismic and volcanic indicators say Earth has moved firmly into the first Earth change lull period of the 2017 Earth orbit cycle. Relative to the Black Star, position in the Libra constellation between Jupiter and Saturn, relative to the Sun, near Mars' orbit path. Now I want to close this. I have too many windows open, slowing things down. When you go out, now remember I'm looking from Florida, and this is going to be at just after 9 o'clock in the evening. It's going to be the same, since the Earth is truly a sphere and it's rotating around. It's going to be, so as the time changes, the 1 hour for each time zone changes, we're going to have pretty much the same view no matter where you are on the planet. If you go out at 9 o'clock at night, you'll look up and you'll see, just stand and look south if you're in the northern hemisphere, and you're going to find Jupiter in the Virgo constellation. Then Spica is right here beside it, and the Black Star is going to be positioned right here. It would appear to be in Libra if we were back in May, but since the Earth is moving this direction, then it from our perspective is backing up. So just very near Spica right here. If you find Jupiter, look down just a little bit and to the left, just beyond the star, especially if you're near a city. This might be the only star that you can see. And Black Star is going to be, if you draw a line from Jupiter right through Spica and go about half the distance right to there, that's just about where the Black Star is going to be located. So I'm going to close this now. Give me more RAM. We can move this thing along. Now, year-over-year seismic values show a decrease in earthquake events across the board. 2.54 magnitude earthquakes are already sub 200. We're already at sub 20 on the 5s. No 6s, no 7s. The one from yesterday was downgraded to a 6.9. I've got the information here. You can click on the link down below here. See the one from yesterday, click on the link, you can see what happened down there. Downgraded 6.9. And this is a source where you can look at what the large magnitude earthquakes, how frequently they strike our planet. Historically, we should have one every 20 days. Now we've had no 7 magnitude earthquakes for 19 weeks in a row. That's extremely rare. I was in a little bit of a debate with Frank Hagerbeets about that. But pretty sure my point is going to be valid, and that this is not something that's usual. This is not something that's usual. We're going way too long without having a 7 magnitude earthquake. And no 6s to report this week. I see that there's some already popping off. If you go to Earthquake 3D, then you can see that there are some 6 magnitude earthquakes that are going to show up on the next week. There's a 6.3. It's right here. Europe. On the right side of Europe, can't see through all the debris. Then just looking around the planet, this is where we had the 6.9 right here. It's kind of deep for a big feller. And you can see in the Cascadia we had a 4.8 right here. Let's see what the depth is on that. So it's right on the surface there, 10 kilometers. And that could be associated with magma plume terminal N that has already been underneath Cascadia. I believe it's retreating backwards in this direction, and you're seeing new volcanic eruptions taking place in this area right here. This is where 4 of the 5 new volcanic eruptions took place, right here where I'm swinging up here. Magma plume arm number 1. This is magma plume arm number 2 up this way. New volcanic eruption, about to get to that. I want to show it to you here. Notice this activity has backed up. We're still pretty close to the southern coast of Mexico. This terminal end of this magma plume arm appears to be backtracking towards South America. So expect to see new volcanic eruptions moving south, 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 moving through the lull period until we get down into whenever we get into August, this activity, this new volcanic eruption activity should backtrack down here into South America, into Chile. That's what it should do. So we're seeing a recession, a backing up of these terminal ends moving through the lull period. But when we were right between the 2 stars, we were only having 2 of these deeper earthquake events. in Earth Mantle Transition Zone. We're only having 2 a week. Now we're back to having a half dozen, which is normal. And that's what's been happening over the course of the last year, averaging about 6 of these deep guys, and that adds energy to the magma plume formation that generally grows through the uptick periods and retreats during the lull periods. But as the retreat's taking place, the buoyancy barrier corridor is narrow. And then when you do get these deep earthquakes, it sends those reverberating waves through that buoyancy barrier corridor, and that's what's responsible. That's what's generating the new volcanic eruption activity that's taking place up here. And I'll show that to you right here. See Fox Islands, USA, United States. So this activity has shifted kind of east towards the United States along magma plume arm number 1. You still have eruptions in these new volcanic eruptions in Kamchatka. And the oddball, the magma plume arm number 2, this is in Costa Rica. So expect, now that we're seeing it down in Costa Rica, expect that to continue moving south towards Chile, like I said earlier. Then, let's see. Yeah, this is very strange up here. That it's as if all this energy is building up to be released later in the timeline. Slowing black star movement left in the orbit diagram is what's causing. That's 1/3 of the equation. The other third is going to be because of Jupiter and Saturn being in the same quadrant. So the black star is here, Jupiter's converging on it, magnetic portal connection between Jupiter and the black star, shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. A lot of the energy is going to the largest planet in our solar system, leaving us with less. And now that we're moving away from the black star, 66,000 miles per hour, it's slowed down its leftward movement, so we're moving away on this cycle even more rapidly than on the last cycle. During this phase, what we should expect to see, we're going to, at the end of August, we're going to reach this 90-degree angle, and then we're going to be in this section of space where the black star is heading toward us. We're going to get a bounce over here in September. We're going to have a mini lull in October. After that flurry of activity we're going to have in September, it's going to happen. Everything's going to cool down so much that whenever we get the black star coming towards us, that just the slightest amount of increase in the solar redirected electromagnetism is going to give us that bounce. We saw it last year. I expect to see it this year. And then in October, we're going to see a mini lull. And then the biggest activity is going to come in November when Earth is moving through behind the sun relative to the black star. It's going to be a solar system harmonics situation when we're back here, and energy is going to be directed to our planet from the black star. And this is what the pattern shows for the last few years, and that's what I expect to continue. Expect the reverberations of the magma plume formation is going to really grow right through this area, and then as these buoyancy barrier corridors are narrowing, the reverberation, we could see more 7s on this side of the equation rather than on this side. Back when we get back over into this, when we're moving through that lull period, like last year, those 7s kept cropping up. This is where I expect in that September we could have the larger magnitude earthquakes during that flurry, and then around here on this side, mini lull in October in between. That's what I expect. Which is basically the commentary that you're looking at right here. Then the Earth core, the Earth crust, remember, is becoming more flexible as it expands and contracts, So that's also aiding the Earth in maintaining equilibrium, so that we're not seeing as many of these large earthquake events. My expectation, for those that are kind of new, is that all of the values in this chart will turn red when the black star gets here. So if you go back, look at 2014-15 chart, and the 15-16 chart, you'll see these red values where strange things are happening, that we're getting more and more red values because the black star is getting closer. Not because the events are high, but because the events are low. And deviating from the historical norms, what they're supposed to be. Magnetic pole migration over here. All very good articles. This is a good newsletter to share with other people. It's over 100 pages. Lots of good articles. A lot of information. You get information on the August eclipse, August 21st. If you're in the central part of the United States, you can go through the article, and then you'll be able to see if you're going to see a total eclipse or a partial eclipse. Then and there's maps of the world. The Scallion maps are shared in this volume of the newsletter from all around the world, not just the United States, not just Europe. Looks like all of his maps are included down there, so you're going to want to check that out too. Then new evidence that all stars are born in pairs. That was sent in by Sandy this morning. Patrick sent in a related article. The links are shared with you right up here. Make sure that for people that just read the featured article, and maybe one or two of the featured articles, then there's a lot of good information in here that you're going to want to check out. Magnetic North Pole moved ahead of previous year's position. Here's where it was last year, by 4 degrees. That's a 2-degree change from 2015 to 16, 4-degree change now. Looks like we're seeing a new pattern trying to emerge as we're coming around. And remember that we have areas in this chart where, especially up here in December, but even down here in September, this area right here where we have triangles that are 12 degrees. I was showing them to you last year. And that it looks like, unless this magnetic North Pole really slows down to for that 377-day cycle to be reestablished, it looks like we're going to have a new pattern as we're coming around. Not enough data here to draw conclusions about what all this means. It's likely solar system harmonics is going to have something to do with this, with Jupiter and Saturn, the black star, all on the same side of the solar system. And as we're moving away, then magnetic North Pole is accelerating, following the 2015 path almost exactly. So I'm curious, see this convergent point right over here that happens in November? This is where all the lines seem to want to come together. We're going to watch as this baby comes around. The new pattern that's established, we're going to do comparative analysis to previous years, and then we're going to see how things develop moving up in here. And I'm not ready to, I'm not drawing any conclusions. Right now, it's not enough data to be able to do that. But this is pretty interesting, what's going on up here. Then on the survival group topic, then David, the Ozark Survival Group Operations Director, reported that that the main survivor group program that's been trying to secure 400 acres, that this has been put on hold for the time being. This creates opportunity for all members that are in the program. So you have David's information. You can contact David. He looks like he's going to be working with more investors, more smaller investors, trying to put this together. We may even go to a smaller, this property, we've been all around this property. It has a couple of cave entrances, has 4 waterfalls, 10 springs. This is only around the corner from where I lived for a couple of years up there. This is a great opportunity in my mind. If the group doesn't have the resources to be able to secure that property, then maybe they want to look at something else. Don and Barbara have updated their information. And Linda has updated, she updates her information about the New Mexico-Texas program quite often. And so look, if you're already in the program, look for Linda's email. She should be sending group information about her program to everybody that's in the program, letting you know about the opportunity. It's mostly going to be for people that are, for members that are in California, Arizona, in the United States Southwest. And where the Ozarks might not be the best option for you, then there are some advantages of being further south. You're going to avoid the pyroclastic flows a little better, less exposure to nuclear power plants, and which those on the North American Craton, in my view, those are stable. Those are going to be used after the crap hits the fan. So our situation as far as the nuclear power plants in the Ozarks is great, but the safest place to be is farther, from the perspective of some threat assessment analysts, I should say, is farther south. The advantage of the Ozarks is that there's so many groups working together there. So you have the opportunity to network. You can use your ham radios. You can communicate. You can manage and share resources. Much better if you have lots of large groups working in close proximity. So this one is kind of remote compared to the Ozarks program, but has lots of opportunities, especially right now. Ground floor opportunities in these kind of programs, that's where it's at. That's where you become one of the landowners. That's where you can help to dictate a little bit. You'll have more say on policy, on screening policy, on things like that if you're one of the landowners. And so lots of information on the that's being updated with the Survival Group program. Now is the perfect time to go to TerraLo3.com and subscribe so that you can know your options. It's only $45 per year, and you're connected to more than 200 families working in the program. You can send group emails to everybody and find out who's near you, who you can work with. Find real like-minded survivalists, preppers, that they can be valuable resource to you. You guys can be valuable to one another by working together. Really, really great program, and lots of people are working in the program. Now's a good time to subscribe, and happy to send you your threat assessment information. So there's instructions here on what you do, and then you give me permission to share your contact information. I'll introduce you to the more than 200 families and send you the Survival Group notification email with all your options, all the updated information. And it's really, really great stuff. Then project supporters for this week include Nathan and Peter and Janet. They went to TerraLo3.com and subscribed to the newsletter and or Survival Group programs. Regina and Patrick renewed their subscriptions from previous years. No donations this week. And Brenda secured her autographed copy of The Mystery Explained. It's going to be released later this summer. And you go to TerraLo3.com, make a $50 donation or more using the donate button, and then make sure you send me a mailing address with that, and I'll get that to you as soon as it becomes available. Much of my time this week was spent editing The Mystery Explained. Apparently I have a team of editing monitors, and they just point at something and say, oh, go fix this and this and this, and anything else in the manuscript that's like this, rather than actually editing the manuscript. So they've given me a bunch of work to do. It's probably going to take me 2 or 3 more weeks just to get my side done. We're talking about changing diagrams because they have a preposition that's not lowercase. I'm telling you, it's kind of pulling my hair out over working with these editors. It's turning in. This has been a decades-long project, and it's not over yet. So that's where a lot of my time is going through this time. It's coming at a good time for me. It's moving through the lull period. There's generally not as much activity. And for example, usually see this link right here. This is a free link to the newsletter that's shared at Planet X News, at over at Stargazer site. As a matter of fact, Stargazer, your articles are not. I must have missed your email. Well, anyway, a million things running through my head here about the book, and now I'm realizing that I missed a step in putting this newsletter together. But usually, when we're moving through the uptick periods, then more than 100 people download the pre-newsletter. Now it's about 24. Moving through the summer, as I've mentioned last week, it's just really a treacherous time for trying to get support for the research. And so if it's going to have to edit the book again and again, The Mystery Explained, then I guess moving through the summer is about the best time to be able to do that. Then let's see, that's all the subscribers, and I'm going to get bendedreality.com, that's Stargazer's links. They're posted every week at the bottom of this featured section, and memory's serving me, they're not in there right now. I'm going to have to update that, get that fixed before the final version of the newsletter is uploaded. So new subscriber questions. This is very beneficial for new subscribers. There's so much information, so many videos, so many newsletters. Where do you go to get the what you want? And what's important? Well, what's important, this is what Nick writes. Do you happen to have a list of the best of Black Star reports? There's no such information. And that's true. That's very true. So this can kind of help you. Volume 28 of the 2016 newsletter. It's a good place to start. Rising magma plumes. People don't realize what's going on in Earth Mantle Transition Zone. That's changing the seismic / tectonic / volcanic dynamic of our entire planet. That's part of the reason we're seeing low seismicity right now. You're going to get an update on that in volume 42, and then volume 42, that's one of the best ones of the year. The best survival group, the best survival information came out in volume 43 of last year. So the free links are posted right here for even for non-subscribers. Then a lot of people ask me about Gil Broussard's work. This is from 2015, and a lot of the things he says is just nonsensical to me. And I listened to a long video, gave my commentary play-by-play. That's a good place to get that kind of information. Then there was some information that I wanted to share right here. It was in October 14th, volume 42. The 2 video updates from October 14th and 16th in the top featured article of volume 42. That's where we found out about the eddy formations in Earth magnetosphere. That's every time the moon swings into Earth magnetosphere, especially when you have a geomagnetic storm, then you get the eddy formations and what appears to be a magnetopause reversal. It's actually a collapse, and we identified historically that this has happened before, even though it hasn't been identified by NASA, by the USGS, or anybody. It's my own research, and 2 nice lengthy reports, video reports, and volume 42 is where you're going to get that information. And to me, this is extremely important right here. This is the kind of information shared that is discovered by the research done in this Project Black Star investigation that you're not going to find anywhere else. Because whenever you see strangeness, scientists are puzzled, they don't understand. That's where we jump in, and then we've already done a lot of the research in the related areas to help explain what's happening. So it's those 2 reports, particularly the second report that came out in volume 42. That's the one that came out on, if you go to my YouTube channel, Terrell Black Star, October the 16th. That is a very good report. Go in the description box, get those links, and you can go look at the historical data going back to the 50s. That shows this has happened. We have 13 opportunities for this to happen every year. And when we get the geomagnetic storm, right in 3 days before the full moon, here comes the internet hype, the scream about magnetopause reversal whenever it's eddies. It's eddy formations created by the moon. That's and then everybody should read the Dakota report. Click on the link, go to the operations section. You don't have to read the whole report. It's about 9/11. But then it transitions. I mean, it's the importance of the report is summarized in the operations section, and it's going to talk about Project Black Star, and that's what this project is named after. Before the Project Black Star documentation was shared with me, it's the Dakota report, was shared with me by Jim Mars. We were doing radio shows together through the period. And then he came across that report, and I looked on the internet. It was nowhere. It came out of nowhere. It came from Jim Mars back in 2012. And then it's the only other place I know where to get it besides the 2017 Dropbox folder is from the CIT guys. That's a lettered agency operation. And working with the operatives is pretty good sometimes because you can get information like this. I even use their link. Send it to you. They're going to say that they debunked it. That's what these operatives do. They give you really good stuff, and then they say that they debunked it, like it's the end of the story. But just read the Dakota report. It mentions Project Black Star and the coming culling of the population, the genocide that's coming. Then the recent question and answer from May the 2nd. That's probably another good. So this is a good source of links for somebody that's new, it's getting started, and then you can take it from there. And what's important depends on your background, your experience, and what you feel is personally. It's very subjective about what's important from your perspective. So what I think is important might not be what you think is important. Then this came in this morning from Sandy. This is really good stuff. New evidence that all stars are born in pairs. And pretty good article. And there's a related article. It's not going to be just pairs either. Sometimes you get quintuplets out there. Or you could have 3, 4, or 5 trinary systems. And then there's, right after that came in, Patrick sent in a Sun, Twin, Nemesis, another binary. So this, when the newsletter was already way more than 100 pages, and my apologies to Bonnie and others that sent in information, that sent in links, and there's just, it's not enough time this week to get to everything, and the newsletter is already over 100 pages. So we're going to be publishing 200 pages every week, then my apologies. Everything could not get in here. But this kind of information here, again, this is a good newsletter to share with other people. Shocking doomsday maps of the world and billionaire escape plans. Really good stuff. Using the Scallion maps, you guys have seen this. This is what my safe zone maps made from. What's going to happen out west is because of the convergence of these, the terminal ends of these magma plume formations. The buoyancy barriers are going to break underneath. This is the convergence zone. The origination zone's over in Indonesia. It's pushing all around the Pacific Ocean Ring of Fire, and when those buoyancy barrier terminal ends collide and break the buoyancy barriers, magma, super hot, super lightweight magma, because it's been rising all the way from Earth Mantle Transition Zone. 600 kilometers down inside the Earth, it's going to rise. And as it rises, it's going to decompress. As it decompresses, it's going to go faster and faster to the surface. And then it's going to push up against the crust, displace the heavier magma that is supporting the crust, and the entire region is going to collapse. That's why in the threat assessment information, you're going to hear the words, you're going to read the words, there is no safe zone area west of the Rocky Mountain Ridge because of that. And then our safe zone location is over here, right here, in northwest Arkansas. And that's to avoid these pyroclastic flows that are expected to go up in this direction and be far, so we're far enough south, and we have the good elevation. We want to be 1,000 to 2,000 feet, much higher than that if you're not acclimated when the Earth, the atmosphere thins from nearing black star proximity, from near proximity. Upper layers of the atmosphere are expected to be stripped away. Then you do not want to be high up in these mountains. Especially if you're not acclimated already, you will suffocate. So that's the reason that western sides of New Mexico, if you're down in this area, down here, then you are okay. You're in the green zone. When you get up in here, you're just too high in elevation. So people coming from the plains into the mountains are not acclimated, and then the atmosphere thins. That increases the threat. If you're already acclimated, not as much so. But anyway, that's a little bit of the survival information. There's no safe zone that's west of the east of the Mississippi River Basin. This entire region is going to liquefy. You're going to be cut off over here with 200 nuclear power plants. No can do. You need to be over on the North American Craton. Safest place to be in the northern hemisphere is in this area that I'm circling right here. And they give their top 5 safest locations to survive, and it's for if an asteroid hits. I'm not expecting, of course, asteroids can hit, but if you're near your safe zone location, if you are on a staging area property, if you are prepared to go underground at the right time, then those threats are all neutralized. So becoming a survival group subscriber means you receive the threat assessment information for neutralizing all the threats. When you neutralize all the Black Star related threats, you neutralize Mad Max threats, the threat of a dollar collapsing, World War III, all the other threats. Just being a prepper, just being a survivalist is not good enough unless you have the threat assessment information for neutralizing Black Star related threats. And that means that if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, all the prep in the world is not going to be able to help you. Then tons and tons of good information in this newsletter. All the Scallion maps, it looks like, are shared in this volume right here. So if you're new, this is one of the ones that you're going to want to download and you're going to hold on to. Well, that's really lots of good information. You have friends overseas. People write me for threat assessment for their friends and things overseas, and I'm sorry, but your subscription includes your threat assessment for the country that you live in or wherever you're expecting to be. That does not provide for giving threat assessment for everybody on the planet. If your friends want to subscribe, happy to work with them. I'll send them their threat assessment information, connect them with the closest survival group that's in my program, which includes about well, more than a dozen countries, especially when we get into Europe and New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia, South Africa, and India. Then lots and lots of really good information under here. My view, the biggest hunt in history now underway. This is a Planet 9 thing, which in my view is disinformation. This is put out there to make you believe NASA's on the wall. They're looking out for you. They're looking way out there in space. There's nothing there. They're trying to find something when the black star is in the inner solar system around Mars orbit path already. They know it, and they know this is disinformation. That this is the perturbations taking place are because of what's in the inner solar system, not something that's way far away on the edge of the solar system. The information is included here so you know what's going on. This is the typical propaganda that you see. This is the typical propaganda that you see in these disinformation programs. What's going on? I'm surprised that there's not a reference to Richard Harrington, and that's usually where this goes. As if he was murdered and his object was on the wrong side of the solar system. Back when he was doing his work. And right here is where Stargazer's information is going to be shared. I have to, once I get done with this report, I'll get that fixed up. And, matter of fact, I probably should head over there. The eclipse, lots of good information here on the eclipse for the United States. You're going to see a full eclipse if you're in this area. Right here, greatest duration. It's right here. Partial eclipse if you're on the outside of that, obviously. No eclipse at all if you're too far away. Okay, and make sure that you do that safely. Don't just run out there and look up. You can blind yourself that way. So lots of good information in this week's newsletter, and the radio show I'm about to do will be posted right here. It's really what I want to share. What I want to share with you guys. Lots of information in the survival section down here. Solar water pump system. This came in this morning. This is not a subscriber. Rick sent this fella my information. His email address is here. His phone number is here. This is what he wanted to share with you guys. Dave Sampson, Oak Grove Fabrication and Water Pump Systems. If you're interested, give the guy a ring. Tell him Terrell sent you. And that's pretty much what I want to share with you guys for this week. You saw with the earthquakes, you saw where we are in the solar system, and we should be good to go. So unless anything big and breaking happens, then I'll see you on the next Black Star Update report coming out next Thursday. See you on the next Black Star Update report. Get more information at terrell03.com.